So how do you know if you're being codependent and rescuing other people, which of course is very unhealthy, or if you're being supportive and kind and loving and compassionate, which of course is lovely and very healthy? There's two main things I want you to look at. One is who's working harder. That's always my thing. If you're working harder than the other person at their problem, then that's a problem, and you are being codependent, or you're trying to rescue them as opposed to support them. It's that saying about teaching someone to fish versus giving them a fish. So in those situations where you're working harder, again, you got to step back, because that's not helping anyone figure out their future and learn how to think for themselves. And the second thing, and they're really related, is how do you feel? You have to stop and check in with how you feel. So if a request is made, or just if someone calls you and they're really upset about something and like, I don't know what to do, and you find yourself, notice how you're feeling. Usually when we're in a supportive state, we feel connected and loving and kind and generous and really good, I don't, for lack of a better term. When we're being codependent or rescuing, we tend to feel put upon and drained and resentful and annoyed and like, okay, and the energy goes really down. So that's the thing that I know it sounds simple, but it's a great way to notice kind of where you are. And I always tell people, you don't want to do for someone else what they could do for themselves. And sometimes that just takes longer than you'd like. You need to look at your own motivations. Are you trying to control the situation? I have shared many times that I am a control enthusiast, and I often am. I can tell when I'm getting codependent because I'm so controlling. And it's really, I hate to tell you, but it's selfish, because if I'm, want one of my kids to do something in particular, it's because I want to feel better. I don't like, I can say, oh, it's for them, and this is for their best interest, but really at the end of the day, that's true. But I feel safer and better when they're doing kind of the right things, or the things I think are right. And a lot of times in our codependency, or we're worried about a friend or worried about someone, we can kind of control it so it takes away those feelings we don't like, and it's really motivated by that, believe it or not. So it ends up being manipulative, and again, we don't mean it that way, I know that, but that's how it ends up coming across. If it's making your life easier and that's why you want to do it, that's codependence. That's not being really supportive in a healthy way. I know, I've done it too. And I would say you want to be in love solidarity, not fear solidarity. So when someone brings you a problem or something, I know it's hard, but it's important to just shut up. Like, be there with them emotionally without doing anything physically, without giving them suggestions, no advice, right? I always say, don't sack your relationship. Don't offer suggestions, give advice, or criticize, SAC. Instead, you can ask them questions. Is there anything you've tried? What have you tried that hasn't worked? Help them brainstorm without giving them suggestions or advice, because it needs to come from them. That's how people learn to fish. You have to do it yourself. You have to get out there, right? And really think what you need to know to critically think through something. That's how you get supportive. So try this out. Notice how you're feeling and ask yourself that question, or am I working harder than them? And I bet you'll find yourself on the right side of all that.